Empty. Te, the hand. Karate, the empty hand, the weaponless weapon. A fighting system of almost supernatural power, of superhuman capability. Its origins, lost in the abyss of time, are lit by the dim light of legend. 3,000 years before the birth of Christ, in the land of the western heaven, India, a great and powerful prince makes the first crude beginnings. He wanders through the forest and jungles of his native land, observing the ways of the animals, the still, breathless stalk of the tiger and his sudden flashing spring. The lithe and deadly quickness of the serpent flickering in the deep grass. The determined, almost thoughtful moves of the vicious mantis, the most deadly of insects. The sudden flash of the hawk and his final murderous grip on the pheasant's throat. He watches them all and learns from them. Later, in the confines of his luxurious palace, he performs a cruel and bizarre experiment. Desiring to discover the weak points of the human body, he inserts long needles into the bodies of living men, slaves, until a puncture results in death. Then he records the exact spot of the fatal wound. It is said that over 100 men died to satisfy the ruthless curiosity of that cruel prince, whose name has been justly forgotten. Centuries later, history, as if to atone for the excesses of legend, produces a truly great and benevolent figure, a monk named Bodhidharma, or to give him his Chinese name, Tai Mo. This great man, blessed with the enlightenment conferred by years of Zen Buddhist practice, travels alone and on foot across the bandit-ridden mountain fastness between India and China, bringing Zen to the people of the Middle Kingdom. In Honan province, he settles at the Shaolin Monastery, where, finding the monks unable to meditate properly because of their poor physical condition, he initiates a series of exercises called the 18 Hands of the Lohan, which not only exercise the body, but prepare the mind for true enlightenment. These exercises, with their twofold purpose, the strengthening of the body and the enlightenment of the mind, are the basis, the soul of that art the Chinese called Xuan Fa, the fist art, or Kung Fu, and the Okinawans and Japanese call karate. From the Shaolin Monastery, the practice of Xuan Fa spread like wildfire. A great Xuan Fa master named Shui Huan studied Tai Mo's original 18-hand positions and extended them to 72. Later, in Shenxi province, he met a master named Li Shuao, and together they expanded the system again to 170 moves, naming them after the dragon, the crane, the snake, and the leopard. For centuries, the art of the fist was extended and perfected. The people of Siam contributed the kicks and the uses of the foot. The Taiwanese perfected the use of the ends of the fingers. The art spread with sailors and traders to Okinawa, where the idea of the clenched fist was born. From Okinawa, the great master Gichin Funakoshi brought karate to Japan, where it has become as popular as the great native Japanese arts, jiu-jitsu and aikido. And from Japan, karate has traveled to America, where even today, the great art that was born 5,000 years ago with the insane curiosity of a cruel prince and was perfected 15 centuries ago by the benevolence of a great and perfect master, continues its slow and thoughtful evolution.
This man. You say? This man, 2, 3. 2 points. 1-1. Continue.
Combat between man and man, perhaps the second oldest form of exercise in the world. Since the dawn of time, men have been forced to fight to defend their homes, their property, their ideals, and their lives. Those who fought well survived. Those who didn't died. Martial arts is that area of human science that teaches men how to fight well, how to survive in a dangerous and violent world. In the thousands of years during which the martial arts have been evolving, techniques have been developed that are so effective, so deadly, that their unrestrained use in practice fighting, which you are watching now, would certainly result in death or serious injury to one or both of the combatants. But the highly trained martial artist has such control of his power that he can stop deadly techniques an inch short of his target. And thus, practice fighting becomes possible, and a deadly fighting art can be practiced as a sport. It is because of this control that freestyle sparring, once thought to be too dangerous, has now become a part of the training in almost all karate styles and many kung fu styles. But martial art is more than a sport, more than a self-defense system. It's a way of life. It does not create athletes with bulging muscles or finely tuned murderers. It creates men. Men like Ron Van Cleef. You are watching a man unquestionably the most effective empty-hand fighter in the Western Hemisphere. This is the most dangerous man in America. 7th degree Kiyoshi Shihan in the American Goju system of karate. Creator of Aikijitsu, the most revolutionary and effective fighting system in the world today, and founder of the Chinese Goju system. This is Ron Van Cleef, the Black Dragon. The demonstration you are watching is a series of exercises called Appons, in which an attack is answered with a series of counterattacks until the attacker is defeated. It is here that the imagination, the power, and the flow of Kiyoshi Van Cleef's responses are evident, even to the untrained eye. To a martial artist, they are little short of amazing.
I think the understanding that you develop from the martial arts enhances your whole life. It gives you a different sort of perspective, a new framework of reality that teaches you how to deal with yourself and the environment at one time. My teacher told me, defeat the self first to know. Aikijitsu is a low-energy input art where it does not take power. Karate is speed plus timing plus focus equals power. And Aikijitsu is mind power equals physical. Mind power equals energy. It's more of an internal art, the Aikijitsu. The martial arts is 80% mental and 20% physical. You'll find that once you study for a while, all the physical variables become nothing. Because a front kick is just as easy as a punch. A knife hand is just as easy as a flying back kick. A flying back kick is just as easy as a new punch or a spear hand or anything. It's all exactly the same. Once you've become aware of your potentiality and your ability and capabilities within your framework of reality, of course, you develop fully. Your full range of human potential is elongated. Just the execution of basic technique develops stability, confidence, awareness, endurance. It has so many benefits, and the benefits are mental.
The exercise called kata is common to many of the martial arts. It's a set of prearranged moves, a sort of fighting dance that the martial artist uses to keep himself in shape and to create the correct mental attitude for combat.
Black Dragon Kata is most functionable. It deals with the basic blocking system, basic kicking and punching mechanisms, basic stances, even some advanced technique, so that the student understands that by the time you reach black belt, which is the level that the Black Dragon Kata is taught, you understand the basic structural designs of technique. Cutting the carrot. It shows a confidence in the self, in your precision, your accuracy. It shows an awareness that you understand the full capabilities of yourself. The sword and the self is a very spiritual thing. The sword becomes an extension of your hand. You develop both at the same time. Cutting the carrot is a test of one's fortitude. The carrot cut, the potato cut, they're all just as simple as a punch or kick or anything. It all comes out for the same thing. It's just a physical variable. Being able to change energy into force, into soft, into hard, into just fluidity. In breaking techniques, which is called tamashawari, it's a basic speed plus time plus focus equals power axiom, a principle. What it does, it teaches how to use your body like a weapon. It teaches maximum concentration to a small area at focus points.
Kiyoshi Van Cleef is not only a great fighter, he is one of the leading theorists of martial arts in the world today. The revolutionary fighting style, Aikijitsu, is the product of 17 years of exhaustive research into all the martial arts: karate, kung fu, jiu-jitsu, aikido, pa kwa, arnis de mano, fighting styles from all over the world. When your body is itself a weapon, it can be used with great effect against other more common weapons, such as the knife.
A knife becomes just an extension of the empty hand. It is much more restricting than just having the empty hand. And once you get into a knife, you don't use your other four weapons. But don't get me wrong, a guy that knows how to use a knife properly is a dangerous adversary. And I've used techniques on the street, being attacked with knife and things. I've even been cut, but that's the other person that suffered dearly. See, martial arts is a therapy, more so than just a self-defense art, because it builds better human beings, develops the character. That's why I study martial arts, to give myself a more logical and economical way of functioning within this environment.
Kiyoshi Ron Van Cleef, fighter, theorist, philosopher, one of the new breed of great martial artists America is beginning to produce. many styles of karate being taught in the United States today, most come from Japan. But the original home of karate, as distinct from kung fu, is Okinawa. One of the most famous schools of Okinawan karate is Weiji-Ryu. Sensei George Mattson is a 5th degree black belt and a teacher of karate. His style, Weiji-Ryu, is an Okinawan style and the oldest, most classical karate being taught in America. It's a straightforward, practical fighting system based on straight punches and kicks and circular blocks, and places great emphasis on correct mental attitude. The basic Weiji-Ryu kata, Sanchin, here performed by Justin Testa, creates that correct attitude in the minds of both new student and old master, and is the basis of the Weiji-Ryu style.
No, I'm not trying to kill my student. This most unusual set of movements are a very ancient drill designed to instill confidence, develop strength, and probably most importantly, created to still one's mind, enabling a person to be able to fight without any preconceived thoughts. The monks from China who created this unusual set, or as it's called in Okinawa, kata, called it Sanchin. The student has complete control over his movements, being able to withstand strong blows to his body without upsetting him or in any way distracting him. The newest student learns Sanchin, and the most advanced master continues to practice Sanchin.
The second kata of the Weiji-Ryu system, here being performed by Jimmy Maloney, is called Kan-Shiwa and contains actual fighting movements. These motions are studied by the student in the next exercise, in which the student, attacked by 3 others, replies to these attacks with the moves that he has learned and studied in the kata itself. Another unique aspect of Weiji-Ryu is the exercise called Dan Kumite. Dan Kumite is a prearranged fight in which all the attacks and defenses are known to both students. It teaches correct application of attack and defense, correct distance, timing, and mental attitude. It's performed here by Justin Testa and Bob Campbell.
Master Weiji told me years ago that our style was not one that a shallow mind could comprehend, and therefore I should not try to impress anyone with its power. Those that are ready to study a system that is meaningful will search it out. And he said to be ready to teach those students who search for the real karate.
Along with mental attitude, Weiji-Ryu stresses the conditioning of the body to absorb strong blows, so that the equilibrium of the fighter will not be upset if he should be struck by an attacker. The effectiveness of this training is evident in this demonstration, in which 2-inch pine staves are broken over the thigh. Forearm and calf of Bob Campbell, who absorbs these powerful attacks with perfect equanimity and without sustaining any injury whatsoever. Along with training the body to absorb blows, Weiji-Ryu also trains the body to give them. Here, in slow motion, Justin Testa puts his bare toes through 2 pine boards with the Weiji front snap kick. karate has been better known in America, the father of karate and the original of all the empty-hand martial arts is beginning to be studied in this country more and more. And Kung Fu is taking its rightful place in the hierarchy of martial arts. One of the most famous of the thousands of Kung Fu styles is Wing Chun. The performer is Jerry Gardner, Sifu in Wing Chun Kung Fu. Kung Fu kata, as you can see, are softer and more flowing than karate kata, and their emphasis is not so much on strength as on movement. The moves are more mystical, more secret, not so obviously fighting moves. But be warned, anyone fighting a Kung Fu master will quickly discover that precise and deadly fighting moves are hidden in the dance-like motions of the Kung Fu kata.
I used to really be in the fighting. Sometimes I'd be, you know, you have a lot of anger inside, a lot of emotion inside. You go in the dojo, you want to hit somebody, you want to hit the back so you get that anger out. And I find now is that I don't want to fight. You know, I don't feel like I want to fight. And if I had to defend myself, that would be something else. Some forms deal with developing the fluidity of emotion. So you can flow, you can feel the flow, you can be in the flow.
The calmness, the quiet, the control of the Kung Fu kata carry over into the world of combat as Jerry Gardner spars with Speedy Lecoq and Tony Basso, moving smoothly and calmly to defend and counterattack with perfect balance and timing. This calmness in the face of danger is the true legacy of serious Kung Fu training.
The motions that I was doing in the karate, they weren't me. You know, I couldn't feel them anymore. So I started to search, and I guess through reading and probably influenced by the media and stuff like that, I went to the Wing Chun. And I found the Wing Chun to be what I was looking for. It was simple, but yet it's not simple, but subtle, but yet it was complicated. It required and developed concentration, focus, relaxation, speed of hand, concentrating of the eye. Very strong stance, strong legs. And I really began to see it. And to me, the martial arts it's a learning process. It's a process of, one, how to deal with life. And when sparring, each time you step in there, it's like saying, this is death. Like you try to say, this is death, and I don't want to get hit. If I get hit, I die. But then, on the other hand, are you afraid to die? Have you really dealt with your consciousness not knowing what happens beyond the point of death? Or can you get in there and say, okay, I can face it, and when it's time, I can let go? Or saying, if I get hit, I get hit. That's the way it goes.
The kata is a Shotokan kata called Impi. The man is Little John Davis, one of the most feared fighters on the East Coast, a practitioner of the murderous Japanese art of jiu-jitsu.
I never criticize one art, say one art is better than the other. All arts work. It will be very deadly because jiu-jitsu is based on the destruction of the bodies, gouging eyes, nose, blood, whatever wicked comes off. It's a very deadly art, you know. And some of the techniques, if you notice, the fingers probably breaks across the eyes, which is be gouging out the eyes, peeling the skin of the face, grabbing the groin. And we normally always throw our man 9 out of 10. We try not to make him stand.
His speed is dazzling, legendary. His techniques are thrown with such profusion, most of them are scarcely visible to the naked eye. But as Robert Croson, his student, will tell you, just because you can't see them, don't mean you can't feel them. John Davis, a modest, soft-spoken, and gentle master of a vicious art, jiu-jitsu. Musa Kamara is a master of the youngest of the martial arts, Aikido. Invented in this century by Master Uyeshiba, Aikido is a purely defensive and humanitarian martial art. Its ideal is not only to defend oneself, but to also prevent injury to the attacker. The basic idea of the system is that a person who attacks another must exert a force, and if the defender can deflect that force into another direction, then he can use the aggressor's own strength to defeat him. As you watch Master Kamara, you will see that he uses very little of his own strength, just enough to deflect the momentum of the attacker and turn his own strength back upon him to defeat him. Musa Kamara, the highest-ranking non-Oriental master of the art of Aikido, an art that proves that the aggressor cannot win. Louis Neglia, 5th-degree black belt in Sanukas Jiu-Jitsu, gives a startling demonstration of the internal force, or Chi, which to martial artists is the source of all power and the goal of all training.
One of the feats that I've done with this bed of nails is something that I never thought possible. And people, learned men, physicists, and mathematicians said it was impossible to do. And after coming down and seeing it, they said they can't figure it out. And calculating the weight of the sledgehammer and the bed of nails and the sharpness of the nail, they said it was physically impossible to do. But after seeing it, they congratulated me and said that they can't explain it, but they do believe it and it is real.
karate has katas for weapons, such as the sai and the nunchakas, as well as for the empty hand. The kata you are watching is a Shorin-ryu kata called Bo Shodan. Bo is the Japanese term for a fighting stick. Shodan is the first rank of the black belt. The kata is performed by Charles Bonnet, a 6th degree black belt in the Shorin-ryu system.
You can relate the kata to sort of what the boxer would do as far as shadow boxing, more or less. It's equivalent to the same thing. Of course, the kata has a deeper meaning, a more spiritual meaning, because what you're doing in a kata, of course, is you're training yourself spiritually to perform these movements. And each movement has, of course, its own meaning. It was meant for a certain purpose. I would say that the kata is like the dictionary of a martial arts system or style or whatever. But what I've done throughout my 15, 16 years of karate study is that I've studied the kata and I've derived what I think is the best things to apply. The kata is good to develop the fluidity that you need, the power of concentration. It's good for building up, the body as far as muscles are concerned. A lot of martial artists don't like to lift weights because it tends to tighten the muscle, and it doesn't really do anything for you as far as flexibility is concerned.
Sensei Bonnet believes in kata. He does them as they are meant to be done, with precision and speed, grace and power, with utter sincerity. When you have seen this man perform a kata, then you begin to know what karate is all about.
All life is combat. From the time you get out of bed in the morning to the time you go to sleep at night, either verbally or physically. The universal law is positive begets a positive, and negative begets a negative. And universal principle is cause and effect. Life is a circle. What goes around comes around. I'll be careful what I say and what I do. To me, playing the violin is martial artistry. It's just another way of communicating my spirit to the listener, to the senses. I think as one develops in your higher Dan level, you begin to see the relationship of everything to everything. I think one of the greatest bits of philosophy ever was said was a phrase, not by anyone necessarily famous, but just a phrase that comes out of the ghetto. It's called everything is everything. And if you really look at that phrase, you'll see that that phrase is a complete 360-degree circle of understanding.
John Blair, musician, philosopher, karate man, the Renaissance man of the American karate world. Ever since karate came to America, there has been controversy over the place of women in the martial arts. Some instructors refuse to even allow them in the dojo, while others accept them willingly in their classes. Elsie Roman is a student of Frank Ruiz and a black belt in the Nisi Goju system. Sensei Ruiz has said, and we quote, "In my school, we don't have male black belts and female black belts. We just have black belts." Watching her work out with Wilfredo Roldan, we had to agree. Elsie Roman is a true black belt. The real future of martial arts in America rests with the youngsters. It is out of the ranks of the kids who are starting out today that the great karate men of tomorrow will come. This is Nelson Taylan. He's 8 years old and a green belt, a student of Bob Long. Though he's only been studying a year, already he possesses the intent eye and studied motion of a young master. He performs a kata with the nunchakas, an Okinawan weapon. Sup Kim is a student of Ron Van Cleef, a first-degree black belt at the age of 13. Sensei Van Cleef says of him, "I wish I'd had the moves he has when I was his age. He'll be one of the best before he's 20. Up to now, everything you have seen has been real. Now let's take a look at the fantasy world of the movies, where the karate man is invincible, where children can defeat grown men, women can destroy armed opponents, where one man can defeat 50 men without working up a sweat. So let's go to the movies. fighter. If you decide to pull a gun on him, you better be quick. The Street Fighter. One man against crime. One man against the hard drugs of the neighborhood. A man against corrupted police. Of studying martial arts in school, he gets a chance to use it on the street where it counts. This is the Street Fighter. He looks like an ordinary guy, but mess with him, and it'll be the last thing you ever do. Rough, tough, and dirty. After the death of the Dragon comes a new American superstar, 16 years in the martial arts, 7th degree black belt, and 4 times world champion. Introducing Ron Van Cleef as the Black Dragon. We said enough. Now we'll let him do the talking.
Are you crazy?
The Black Dragon, rougher, tougher, and stronger than anything you've seen before. None of that jumping around and flying through the air, because this is the real shit. The Black Dragon. Also starring Jason Paipao, the flashiest kung fu fighter of the Orient. His style is smooth and deadly. His words are few but final. Also starring the Latin terror, Jorge Estraga. Watch out! With cat-like speed, you know he takes care of business real quick. Ron Van Cleef and Jason Paipao, a 1-2 combination that's hard to beat. And when we say quick, we mean quick. The Black Dragon. Big mothers are his specialty. A blockbuster of a motion picture. From the world of fantasy, let's turn to reality. The famous Frank Ruiz knife defense performed for you by the master himself, Kiyoshi Shihan, Frank Ruiz.
I will not fight a man for the sake of fighting. I will fight to the death for principle. Even with my experience doing this knife fight, I've been cut twice. We're using a live blade and he's really coming after me. If I thought he wasn't coming for me or it was a rubber knife, I wouldn't even try. See, I wouldn't be at peak form. And the only way you can operate at peak form is to have it for real.
Alex +1 Sternberg, 5th degree black belt, performs the Impi Kata of Shotokan Karate.
A man can know karate, and he can be an expert. That doesn't mean that he's Superman, and it doesn't mean that he's invincible.
And in our demonstration, we show that a man attacks with a knife, and you deliver a blow to this man, it doesn't immediately mean that you kill the guy. It's not so easy to kill somebody. Karate is not a physical art, not at all. Karate is a mental art. Karate is a system of thinking. It's a philosophy. It's to teach somebody, first of all, to control himself fully and to always have mastery of himself. Once you can attain mastery of yourself, it's relatively easier to master or to control your opponent.
Thomas LaPuppet, 5th degree black belt in Shotokan Karate, member of the Karate Hall of Fame, spokesman for the idea of karate for the black man, an American karate master.
Without karate kata, I feel a karateka's training is not fulfilled. Because it's something that you can go into the remotest of areas and just train until complete exhaustion. When a man can go and train where no one is watching, then he finds the true perfection of his dedication.
Senseis LaPuppet and Sternberg, old friends, close friends. Together they perform an exacting and dangerous demonstration of a karate man's defense against the knife attack. In this extraordinary demonstration, Tom LaPuppet breaks an unsupported 1-inch pine board in mid-air with the lightning speed and precise Sensei Pete Serengano gives us a few lessons in jiu-jitsu. The very sturdy fellow he's throwing around is his student, Bob Long.
Outside punch. Wrist grab. Grabbing the wrist, locking the thumb. With the throw. Striking to the yard. Striking empty shots through the solo. Once again, throwing. Collar grab. Locking the hand. Under the elbow, pushing in. Outside hand, blocking. Roundhouse kick, catching on the inside, striking to the throat area. Once again, back of the head. Roundhouse kick, stepping on the inside. The toe grab. Locking in. Are you all right? Oh, yeah. Striking to the crown of the head. Coming in. Under the groin.
Thumbs in. Right. I went into the service, so I put my qualifications of what I've done. So I put down, you know, a little bit of jiu-jitsu or hand-to-hand combat, karate. And they just sent me to a school. So never knowing I was going to go, so I went to school for 9 months for 9 to 10 hours a day. Training. I mean training like there was no such thing as time for breathing. You trained and trained and trained, and they made killers at it. We were actually what you call a professional killer, because you press the button, we react. And so that's why I speak now, because I know what it's all about, because I've been there. I know what it is to take a life by using it. I know how hard it is to stop once you start. We were trained. There's no such thing as training as it is today. We were trained to kill and maim. It's not just for a sport. Now we train it as a sport. I've had a dojo now for about over 20 years. But I had to curb myself because my way of teaching was the wrong way. It was the way of a killer. The art is to help each other. The black belt is a sacred thing. This black belt is something that everybody doesn't achieve. And then that do achieve it, we must honor each other and help each other, regardless of what the price is. There's no such thing as no, because you're a warrior. You have to lay your life down for the man next to you, and that's the whole thing.
Sensei Pete Serengano, 8th degree black belt. He's sometimes called the old man of karate in America, but nobody calls him that to his face. Pete Serengano, warrior, teacher, friend, a man among men. We filmed Byung-Hun Park as he was warming up with his student Danny Doyle, preparatory to performing one of the most extraordinary exhibitions of physical prowess ever seen in America. Sensei Park has only recently come to America from Thailand, where he was head of the Taekwondo Federation. Taekwondo is the Korean martial art, and Sensei Park is one of its greatest masters, perhaps one of the greatest of all time. His demonstrations drew gasps of amazement from all the other great masters on the set, and these are men who are not easily impressed. Inches of solid pine boards. Blows like these could crack an opponent's skull like a watermelon. Sensei Park picked up these rocks on the side of the road on his way to this filming. What he does to them needs no description. Amazing demonstration of all. On the ground, a dozen broken beer bottles. The pieces of glass are razor sharp. Watch. What you are about to see is impossible. If anyone told you about it, you would swear it was impossible. You would bet money it was impossible. Nevertheless, you're going to see it here on the screen before your eyes. Professor Frank DeFelice is a master of jiu-jitsu and a student of the ancient Chinese art of qi, or internal energy. In the world of the martial arts, where the extraordinary is considered ordinary and the unusual is seen every day, Professor DeFelice consistently performs the impossible. He will accept what to any other person would be fatal blows to the most vulnerable and sensitive parts of his body and shake them off as though he were brushing away flies. First, let's meet the men who will assist him in his demonstration and get an idea of the power in their fist and feet. Ron Scott, second-degree black belt in Chinese Goju. Wilfredo Roldan, second-degree black belt in Nisi Koju. Teddy Wilson, fourth-degree black belt in Chinese Goju. Sensei Roldan shows you his power again. Moses Boone, third-degree black belt in Nisi Goju Karate. Once more, the power of Wilfredo Roldan. Professor Frank DeFelice. Watch him. You will never forget what you are about to see.
It's called Ki, Chi. It all means internal energy, power. You could consider it to be a life source. Without breath, you're dead. So it's the breath inside you, the air, that controls the energy. At times you breathe heavy to do heavier things. At times you breathe light when you're doing nothing. So it's controllable. You begin from absolutely nothing, learning to control your breath just to be standing there. I can remember getting dizzy just breathing. Then you learn to direct it to different areas of the body. Mostly to the organs. I'd rather have a kick in the groin than a good professional hit me in the throat. This form of breathing that myself and these other instructors do, this intense, should not be taught to just anybody. I think it should be limited to black belts who prove themselves.
This is Joe Hess, 6 foot 4 inches, 240 pounds, and a third-degree black belt in Goju-Ryu Karate Do. Perhaps the most powerful man in the martial arts in the world.
To me is a weapon, somebody that doesn't know how to fight at all, that knew this, could stand right in your face and defy you to hurt him. I don't want people to get the misconception that if you do this, you can't be hurt. Because I believe that this form of ki, energy, there's definite levels of it. I'm at a certain level. My instructor is at a certain level. But I believe that if the time should come where I am punched by a professional that has, in his punching ability, more energy than I have in my absorbing ability, that, you know, where the weakness is going to be, it's going to be me. And maybe, fortunately for me, due to this time I have involved with this breathing, I won't be injured fatally. But I recognize the possibility every time I do it. I'm aware that I could either be dead or not dead.
Get ready. Yes, put it on. Back. No. For real.
And it's nothing in between. If you aren't up to the standards and you try to do it, you're as good as dead or you're on your way to the hospital. Because medically, the books I have state that people that do this are dead.
Once again, watch Teddy Wilson. Observe the power of his kick. Now you have seen the martial arts as they are in real life. You've seen the speed and power of the karate man, the grace and fluency and focus of the kung fu master, the calm and gentle courage of the aikido man, and the frightening strength and fatal effectiveness of the master of jiu-jitsu. You've seen the viciousness of combat and the serene contemplation of the kata. You've seen unparalleled demonstrations of physical ability and spiritual capacity. You've seen the indescribable, the incredible, the impossible. But most of all, you've seen the real, the unbelievable world of the martial arts, the ultimate weapon.